tea fixes everything. I'm a big advocate for tea. Sad, tea. Angry, tea. Tired, tea. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I've said this intro so many times trying to get that right and it still sounds weird. Again, we're not going on abandoned adventure today. Sorry. This is a video that I really wanted to make because it's about a topic that's very close to my heart, very personal, and it's part of a campaign that I really want to promote because I think it's fantastic, and it's being run by a foundation that I think is fantastic. So those of you who look at my Instagram or Facebook or take the time to do any of that, thank you very much for doing that, will have seen that I wanted to make a video as part of the Blurt Foundation's campaign called the Big Blurtathon. Just a bit of background about the Blurt Foundation because I really do feel that people need to know about them. I think they're fantastic, especially if you are suffering with a mental illness. So the Blurt Foundation try to encourage and promote conversation about mental health. They have a fantastic Twitter feed, and they do it's every Tuesday. They encourage people to post thoughts about depression, or they'll put a question out that people can reply to, and it just kind of makes you feel like you're not alone because so many people reply to it. And another fantastic thing that they do is called buddy boxes, which are boxes of goodies, really nice little things like face masks, posh toiletries, books, hot chocolate, nice socks, just things that you can use for self-care to look after yourself. And you can buy them for yourself if you're going through a bit of a tough time, or you fancy a new pair of socks, or you can buy them for a friend who's going through a tough time and send them directly to a friend. Just a really, really nice way to A, look after yourself and promote self-care for yourself, or encouraging a friend to look after themselves and take a bit of time out and use these lovely things. Just absolutely fantastic. So the theme of this Big Blurtathon campaign is called We All Have a Story, and it's relating to stories of depression. Because if you walk down the street and you look at everybody on that street, 1 in 4 of those people that you see are likely to be suffering with a mental illness, and potentially 1 in 3 of those people that you see on the street are suffering with depression. So out of those 1 in 4, 1 in 3 are probably going to be suffering with depression. That's a big statistic, and it's currently estimated that 300 million people worldwide are currently living with depression. And also teenage suicide rates, teenage self-harm, it all seems to be going up and going up, and I think now more than ever it's so important to let people know that you're not alone and there's ways of dealing with it, and you can cope with it, you can live a full life with depression. It does not have to be debilitating, it's just a case of learning to live with it. So I am those 1 in 3 people, and I think it's important for me to share my story to help any other people who may be going through it. So this is my story, and at the end of this video I'm going to give you some advice that I've learned over the years of dealing with anxiety and depression, and also I'm going to answer a couple of questions that I got on my social media regarding depression. So without any further ado, I'm going to stop waffling and I'm going to tell you my story. So I started noticing abnormal feelings at about 16, but I had no idea what anxiety or depression was. Not a clue. I thought anxiety was just a synonym of worry. Now I know it's not, because it's not that rational or logical. And I thought depression was just feeling incredibly sad. Like if you lost a loved one, you would say, oh, I feel depressed. The synonym for feeling blue. And it's not. But yeah, I kind of kept it hidden for years, actually. For 2 years I kept it hidden. I didn't really tell anybody about it because I didn't know what it was. And I knew it wasn't right, but I kind of was scared that I was going mental and that nobody else felt the way that I felt. And if I told people, they'd go, right, okay, she's odd. And also my persona, my personality is very happy-go-lucky, very confident, chatty, bubbly. And I was a bit embarrassed, really, to be honest. I was embarrassed to say, actually, underneath all this, I'm rotting inside. I feel dead inside. In hindsight, when I've been thinking about making this video and talking about it, during that age of 16 to 18, I did have what I would now call depressive episodes, where I did have very, very low mood, felt very lethargic, felt terrible about myself, that I was a horrible person, that nobody liked me. I had very harmful thoughts about myself and harmful tendencies, which I won't go into because I don't want to talk about that now, but I wasn't very nice to myself or very kind to myself. And then finally it came out in a conversation. I think my mum had noticed for a while that I wasn't quite right, and she was waiting for me to make the first move. And one day I did make the first move and say, look, I'm not quite right here. I went to the doctor and I was told I had a general anxiety disorder. So finally I got an answer at about 19. I got an answer that you have a general anxiety disorder. So then I was put on medication for it, and I thought, right, That's it, done and dusted. I've got an answer, I've got a solution, what I thought was a solution to the problem. I'm going to be fine now, I can deal with this. And I did deal with it for a long time, and I was all right. I was coping, I was managing. And then I went to uni and it all went terribly downhill from there, because those depressive episodes that I'd not identified when I was younger kind of then manifested themselves into something a little bit deeper and darker when I got to university. So when I first went, I was all happy-go-lucky, I'm at university, freedom, you know, clubs and pubs, having a laugh. And I went to music college and I loved it because I was surrounded by musicians who all listened to similar music that I did and have similar personalities as me. And it was just really, really great for the first like month and a half. And then kind of like early November, I started not feeling myself again, and I started feeling really nervy and really angsty, and it just kind of descended then. It was I didn't want to leave the flat. I didn't feel that people would like me for me unless I'd had a drink, and that was one thing that went horribly wrong. I was relying on drink to be myself because I thought if I don't have a drink I don't feel happy, so therefore people are going to see that I'm not happy, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like myself, I think, when I was sober, and when I'd had a drink I was happy and having a laugh and dancing and nothing else mattered. And then by December, coming up to Christmas, I was really, really low. I was really sad. I didn't feel like anything I was doing was good enough. I felt everybody was better than me at college. I felt everyone was playing better than me, that everybody thought I was pants. I kind of got myself into thinking that nobody liked me and were just being nice, but didn't particularly like me. They were just kind of tolerating me and would rather me not be there. And then that descended into me not wanting to be here anymore. When I first started experiencing depressive and anxiety episodes when I was 16, I'd had negative thoughts like that, oh, well, it might be easier if I wasn't here. But then when I was at university, it was a serious thought of, I don't want to be here anymore. It was almost like, you know that phrase that you see on social media a lot, stop the world, I want to get off. Yeah, the fact that I was thinking so deeply about it and actually considering it, I frightened myself, thank God. I frightened myself and I thought, right, I need to go home. So I did, I went home and I went straight to the doctor and I just said, right, this isn't right. The way I'm feeling isn't right. And I was diagnosed with depression there and then. I went to the doctor, I got my diagnosis, and then this break was nearly finished and I had to go back to university. And I started panicking, can't do it, I can't go back. And I made the decision, do you know what? It's not worth it. We'll drop out, we'll go and find something else. We will go and do something else. So I did, and for a couple of weeks where I dropped out of uni and got a job yet, I felt pretty rubbish. For the first time in my life I felt like I'd failed. But now in hindsight, 18 months since I dropped out, I now know that that was the best decision I could have made, because if I'd gone back, I probably would have made the worst decision a person can make in their life. So I thank God that I did. 2 weeks of feeling pretty grim about myself. I then got a job. And those first few weeks of starting a job when you're coping with depression and you have no idea what to do about it and you have no idea where to start with it, that's hard. And at that point I thought, you know what, I need to sort this out then. This is something I'm going to have to live with for the foreseeable future. This is where I turn to things like this, videos of people talking about living with depression, online articles, online blog posts, social media posts of how people cope with it. I learnt about self-care, I learnt about pulling yourself out of stressful situations if they're not for you, which I did with dropping out of university. And I felt better about dropping out of university then because other people had done similar things to me. I went from, this is the rest of my life now, it's going to suck because I've got depression, and that too, I can still achieve a lot, and I have achieved a lot in the last year despite having depression, and hopefully me showing you that I can hopefully encourages you to feel the same. And the final part of this story, in March this year I wrote, sorry my hair is going mental, it's doing my head in. Oh, it seems to be when I film my hair decides to go loopy. In March this year I wrote a blog post on my blog, it's not a trumpet, basically just penning down basically what I've just told you. I will link it down below if you want to go and check that out. That was really helpful for me because it got my thoughts down on paper and it allowed me to review the decisions that I've made, which were really, really useful. And it just kind of helped me make sense of the whole situation, which was fabulous. But what was even more important and what made me so glad that I'd done it was that so many people emailed me, messaged me about this blog post and told me all about their experiences and were saying, I felt exactly the same as you did. I did what you did. It was very, very comforting to feel like there's so many people out there that go through it. That's why I felt so strongly about making this video, because I want anybody out there who's feeling the way that I'm feeling to know that you're not alone. So that's my story. I hope that's been helpful. So now I thought I'd give you some tips and some advice that I've picked up from other people and through my own life that I've tried to try and help me cope with mental health issues. So here are some tips and advice and some answers to your questions. This is a tip, but it's also, quite a few people ask me, how do you know when something is wrong? As in, how do you know when what you're feeling isn't quite right? Kind of general guideline to know when something is wrong that places like the NHS website suggest is 2 weeks. If something doesn't feel quite right for 2 weeks or more, that's probably the best time to go and see the doctor. Another one that I was going to talk about, but a couple of people asked, is how to talk to someone. There was a couple of people that were talking from different sides of the coin. So I had a couple of people that were talking about how do you talk to someone if you have a mental illness, and another couple of people were saying how do you talk to someone if you think they've got a mental illness and you want to sort of broach the subject. In either scenario, try and do it in a calm, relaxed, not out of the ordinary environment. Maybe making a cup of tea. Like I say, most problems are solved with tea. And just saying, here's a brew, I need to talk to you about something, I need your advice. It doesn't have to be a great big song and dance like you see in the movies where you grab someone to one side dramatically and go, I need to tell you something. No, just the sentence, I need to talk to you about something, do you have a minute? Is fine. And if you want me to make a more in-depth video of how to talk to a loved one about mental health, pop a comment down below, pop it on my social media, send me a message on social media, and I will definitely make a video because I think that's quite useful. An important lesson on medication. A few myths. They're not magical happy pills that make you go woo as soon as you take them, and they're not like a headache tablet that takes the pain away at the minute you take one of them. Usually between 2 to 3 weeks it takes to start feeling the effects, and sometimes you do feel slightly worse before you feel slightly better. But believe me, you do feel better, you do see a change. Final word on sort of the medical side of depression. If you're feeling like your medication isn't working, or you're feeling slightly better, good, and you feel like you can cope without them, always go back to your doctor. Always go back to your doctor. If things get really bad and you feel like you're in danger, feeling trapped and you're faced with a certain decision, go to a place of safety first of all. Somewhere where you feel safe and you're with people that you feel safe around, and tell them. Just tell them. You being here is more important than you feeling embarrassed. Just tell them how you feel. The next thing you should do is book an emergency appointment with a doctor as soon as you can. Another good thing that you can do is ring a helpline such as Papyrus is really good. They are for young suicide prevention. So if you're a young person, I think it's under 35, and you feel like you're in danger, they're brilliant. Ring them up and they will give you advice. Or Samaritans is another good one, who are a helpline that you can ring them and say that you feel like you're in danger. Last tip, advice bit, is self-care and taking care of yourself, because it's so important when you are depressed, because sometimes looking after yourself can go out the window and you might not have any energy to do so. So taking time out of your week to do something that you want to do, not for anybody else, whether it's you sit with a face mask on listening to Debussy or jazz or death metal, whatever gets you going, or you sit and read a book, or you paint your nails, you go for a walk, you go and play sport, something that you want to do, or you take time reading blogs, reading articles, watching YouTube videos of people who are going through the same thing as you, or watching YouTube videos of something that you like, or watching really crappy reality TV, or my personal favourite, sitting on the couch with a cup of tea under a blanket watching David Attenborough. And the last thing to remember is that it's not forever. And I know it sometimes feels like it is. There was times when I sat there in my pyjamas with greasy hair and no makeup on going, this is it for the rest of my life. And it's not. And I heard somewhere that life is not like this straight path. It's a pendulum that swings from the pants crappy side to the really, really good. Sometimes it may feel like the pendulum's got stuck like a really dodgy clock at your nans and it's not working anymore and it's never going to move, but it will one day release and go back to the good side again. And you've just got to wait, and you've just got to take the time to heal and get yourself better, no matter how long it takes, because it will swing back. It just will take a bit of time. So just remember, your story isn't over just because you've got depression. It's only a chapter, and it might feel sometimes like a very, very long and drawn out chapter, but one day you will turn the page, but you've just got to give yourself a little bit of time to turn that page.